Hello, exceptional students of 7th grade. So this is lesson 2.4, multiplying rational numbers. I want to remind you that while you're taking the notes, don't forget to take down all the extra things that I write. A lot of those extra things you can use as steps when you do the notes to future self and you want to know what the procedure is. I know that you guys are struggling with that with lesson 2.3 when you were trying to figure out what the steps were to convert convert decimals into fractions and fractions into decimals. The steps that I write along the way as I show you how to do it really will help you. Okay, so multiplying rational numbers. Our first one here is we are going to find negative 2 and 5/10, and we're going to multiply it by 3 and 6/10. So we line them up by the last digit. Remember, when we're multiplying decimals, we line them up by the last digit. And we ignore the decimal points for a little while. So 6 times 5 is 30, so 0 and 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus the 3 is 15, so that's 15. So 6 times 25 is 150, that makes sense. Then we're going to multiply in the tens place, so we have to pad that, the ones place, with a 0. 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 is 7. And now we're going to add up all those numbers. So 0 and 0 is 0. 5 and 5 is 10. Carry the 1. And then 2 plus 7 is 9. And now we need to collect all those decimal points to figure out where to put, or count all the decimal points to figure out where to put the decimal point. So in the original problem, there was 1 there and there was 2 there. So 2 decimal places. So we start all the way over to the right and we move it over to the left twice. So that tells us the answer is 9. And now let's figure out if it's positive or negative. And we know if we multiply a negative times a positive, our answer is going to be negative. So in this case, we multiplied. So we multiplied. And then we counted decimal places. Counted decimal places to determine decimal placement. And then we knew that we found the sign of the answer. So you can use these steps to figure out what the procedure is for the notes to future self. All right, let's look at multiplying rational numbers. So I'm going to start with negative 1/3, and I'm going to multiply that by negative 2 3/4. And we know that our first step is to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. You cannot multiply a mixed number with a fraction. It has to be an improper fraction. So we take the 2 and we multiply it by the 4, and that gives us 8. And then we add the 3. So 8, 9, 10, 11. So we know that we have negative 11 fourths. And the next step is to multiply. Now you know that Mrs. O'Connor and I are texting about field hockey. So anyway, we're going to multiply the numerators. So we multiply the negative 1 times the negative 11, which gives us a positive 11. And then we're going to multiply the denominators. And then we're going to multiply the denominators, and 3 times 4 is 12. And we know that a negative times a negative gives us a positive answer. So we know that the answer is 11/12. So now we're going to, another example of multiplying rational numbers, and this one's kind of fun. I know, right? Mrs. Whitney says that multiplying fractions is fun. And I think you're going to find that this is true as you get farther and farther along in your mathematical career, that multiplying fractions is actually kind of fun. So I'm going to change this into a fraction, and we know any whole number can be placed over 1. And then times a negative 1/2. Now I could multiply this all the way across and get 28 over 35 over 70. And then I'd have to simplify it. I find that it's a whole lot easier to simplify at this step before you simplify at the next step. So I am going to note that I have a negative 1/2 and a negative 1/7 and a negative 7 over 1. And I know that I can simplify fractions. So if I rewrite this as negative 1/7, and using the commutative property of multiplication, I can move these so that they're right next to each other. And then the 4/5 and the negative 1/2. And I know that if I multiply 1 times 7, I get 7. And if I multiply 7 times 1, I get 7. So that would be 7 over 7, which is really just 1. And when we cross simplify, we say, all right, I'm going to take this 7 and divide it by 7 is actually 1. So these actually become 1 and 1. And I know that a negative times a negative is a positive, so those just simplify to be 1. These guys I'm going to multiply across, so I get negative 4, because 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. 5 times 2 is 10. So this is going to give us negative 4/10. And I'm going to simplify this by dividing by 2, which gives us a negative 2/5. And that's our answer. And so don't forget to do notes to future forgetful self. Remember, when you get to the procedure section, go up to the steps that I used. Use those as part of your procedure. Thanks for watching.